Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to TME. I want to make a little bit of a different kind of video here and not really related to my book or any of the other things that I typically talk about except for the running. Now this is kind of cool. Basically, I've been running long enough now that I became motivated to invest some money into my own setup at home, and so that's what I did. I'm going to show you the machine I just invested in and how I came about getting it. I think I got a really good deal on it and I'm excited about it, but I wanted to show you something because I know that I've talked about this in previous videos, and I announced to you guys in my previous video that I actually ran 6 miles without stopping. So I was curious. I wanted to know, like, what percentage of the population does that normally, because I just wanted to know, like, how common is it for somebody to run that much? Because I know that whenever I'm at the gym and I'm running for an hour straight, I've been doing that for like a solid month now, going twice a week and running for an hour straight without stopping. And people are like staring at me. And I'm not doing any of this to brag or bring attention to myself. I want to inspire anybody else out there that watches me or listens to me and just tell you, like, look, I was a heavy smoker. I smoked pot, a lot of it, in my teenage and early adult years. I had like bronchitis every year. I would get it really bad. I vaped for 15 years at least, probably more, up until last year, and I stopped. I was a heavy smoker, started smoking cigarettes in 2001, and just always did shit like that. Didn't take care of myself. I have injuries. I have a couple of tweaked discs in my back that I've had to get injections in. I've had 4 major surgeries on my right knee. They've taken out my medial meniscus in my right knee. I had to have an ACL reconstructive surgery with a cadaver ACL. All that stuff happened well over 10 years ago. They did tell me that after about 10 years, you more than likely are going to start to experience arthritic symptoms in your knee, because we had to take so much cartilage out. But guys, it's been over 10 years and I'm telling you that I'm running 6 miles at a time without stopping. And so I wanted to look that up and see how common that is. And let me show you what Google says about that. Okay, so I looked this up, and granted, this is Google. This is their I think it's called Gemini, their AI. It looks it up. I asked what percentage of the population is capable of running 5+ miles without stopping. It says approximately 5% of the population is estimated to be capable of running 5 miles or more without stopping. It says a larger portion, roughly 25%, can run at least 1 mile without stopping. Now, when I first started running last year, it took me about a month to get to that point of just going twice a week to run. After 4 weeks, I could run a mile without stopping. And then I just like gradually kept building myself up and kept going. Now, the reason why I've stopped and I've kind of peaked out at 6 miles in 1 hour is because the gym that I go to, the treadmill that they have, it maxes out at 1 hour. It won't let you run for longer than an hour without stopping. So I figured if I could do that, I'll kind of keep it at that. I'll experiment. I'll kind of adjust the speed here and there. But for the past 6 months, I've been running at about 6 miles an hour, keeping it at that speed. So I don't know, how much more difficult it is to run that far without a treadmill. I'm gonna do some experimenting when it warms up a little bit outside this spring. It says that 15 to 20% can run a 5K, which I was doing that in November, and then finally 10K, 6.2 miles, which I said the treadmill at my gym, it won't actually let me run 6.2 miles unless I increase the speed, which I've thinking about, but if I increase the speed, I'm gonna have to like kind of start over again from the drawing board and build myself up to the point where I can run, faster for a long period of time, like I'm doing right now. But it says only about 1% of the world's population is estimated to have ever run a 10K distance. Okay, half marathon and marathon, less than 1% of the global population will ever complete a half marathon or a full marathon in their lifetime. And it says that a lot of this has to do with age, sedentary lifestyles, which I was a truck driver for nearly 10 years and I didn't run at all that whole time. Now I have a job where I'm on my feet a good portion of the day, which makes a big difference. It says only about 12 to 15% of the global population runs regularly. And, being able to run a full 5K without stopping generally places an individual in the top 10% of the global population for cardiovascular endurance, which is cool because I've been doing 5Ks twice a week for months now, and just recently, like I said, I've been trying to double down on that and doing 6 miles an hour. So I want to show you my machine that I got next, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, I am in my garage and I'm actually getting ready to run. And well, I wanted to introduce you to my machine that I just invested in. This is excuse the horrible mess in my garage. I just installed a ceiling fan and a bunch of other crap, so there's a lot of boxes in here. Excuse the mess. This is a Nordic Track T 6.5 SI, and it goes up to 10 miles an hour and goes up to a 10% grade. I don't recommend using those together. Like I said before, it's really bad for your heels and stuff. But this is normally, from what I understand, about a $1,500 machine, and I purchased this one from a older gentleman that lives in the same city as me. I got it on Facebook Marketplace for $500, and it's in pretty damn good shape. It's in pretty good shape, and I'm getting ready to run on it for the first time. Again, I've been going to the gym for a long time, like ever since last August, to run, and so I'm excited to finally be able to run in my own garage, albeit an extremely messy space. I've got to work on that, but just wanted to welcome you in and maybe even have you stick around as I attempt to run for the first time on this thing. About it is this whole iFit bullshit setup. You can bypass it, but the machine is very rude in the way it does this. It doesn't actually have preset workouts. It goes straight into manual mode, and if you push this button, it gives you one more chance to pay for this shit. It's only $400 a year, or $33 a month. You can push that one more time and skip it. It'll say, give you a third warning. And basically what it does is it leaves you with this, and it just starts automatically like that. It doesn't even, like, you can pause it, but it starts automatically and it goes straight into the manual mode. So apparently you've got all these different types of workouts and stuff if you purchase that iFit crap. That, I mean, honestly, I don't need it. I just use the manual mode when I'm running at the gym anyway. But it's just annoying that, you pay what did I say, $1,500 for a machine, and it doesn't even give you presets without having to pay for some monthly subscription. Guess your $1,500 isn't enough. They need more. And all you're trying to do is stay fit, right? Guys, funnily enough, I asked ChatGPT what's the best music to run to, and it knows already what kind of music I like. But apparently it really agrees that, you know, the White Pony album, Deftones, it's one of the best albums you could run to. So I'm gonna play that. I got my earbuds in, and that's another thing about this treadmill is that, like, apparently it's got Bluetooth, it's got a way to connect to the internet, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do all this stuff, and I'm thinking that you have to pay for that stupid subscription to even get a connection to the internet, to get it to play music, because it's got speakers, it's got Bluetooth capability, like it can connect with your phone, but it doesn't seem like you can get access to any of that without paying for their stupid subscription, which is, it's bullshit. But I mean, I don't need any of that anyway. I thought it would be a cool feature, but oh well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it at 6 miles an hour and just go for as long as the treadmill will let me go for, and I'm hoping that it won't interrupt me, because I'm gonna try to go for a straight hour. What I would like to do right here is actually run a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. If this machine will let me do it, I'm gonna try to do it right here, right now. So let's do that. All right, guys. So this is not just about me running a 10K. This is also me kind of doing a review of this treadmill, simply just because I just got it and I'm still really excited about it. Again, it's kind of frustrating that, you know, you can't use any of the features without paying for the subscription. And I think that it might be pretty cool, like whatever it does offer. It's got a lot of preset workout stuff on it, but like I said, it also has the ability to connect to the internet. You can probably stream movies and stuff with Netflix. I'm sure it's probably got its own like little Roku type deal going on, where you can connect to music apps like Spotify or Pandora or whatever have you, while you're running, and it's got speakers on it and like built into it and stuff. But yes, I noticed something immediately about it, and that is that, like I showed you, the manual mode is very crude. It's pretty much just a bare minimum treadmill, but it's got that fancy screen. One cool thing about it that I kind of wish I had set the camera up at a better angle so that you could actually see it is the graphic on the screen as you're running. It's got like this quarter-mile track, and you've got this little avatar that represents yourself. Each time you go around the track, you're basically circling. And so that's pretty cool. It's kind of motivating to look down and see that thing. And I know that this isn't really showing you much. It looks kind of funny. Like, honestly, I think this is sped up about between 4 and 5 times. I just put my phone camera on time lapse and let it roll. This clip itself, it's about 12 minutes long, but it literally shows my entire run, which lasted for just over an hour, including the cool down. Now, one really, really important thing that I want to point out about this treadmill is that even when it is in manual mode, you see me pointing my finger right there. That what I'm doing is I'm basically going to show you every time that I finish a mile. So I'm literally going to hold up a finger, you know, 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 finger, until I get all the way up to 6 miles. So that you guys know this is no trick of the lens, no gimmick with the camera, no looping video or anything like that. This is just a straight up hour-long time lapse of me running without stopping. And so, like I said, what's cool about this treadmill that I really, really like, that I couldn't do on the treadmills, that I actually went to 2 different gyms. I started going to the gym for the first time in my life as a 40-year-old last summer, and I've actually gone to 2 different gyms, really 3 different gyms, since like last August or maybe last July, and none of the treadmills at those gyms would let you run for more than an hour before it went into automatic cool down mode. And so I really thought that that's what this treadmill was going to do, and I was worried about it. So after I did my first mile, I actually tried something new. I cranked the speed up on it to 6.2 miles per hour, which I've never done before. I think I told you guys maybe at the beginning of this video, or maybe the previous video that I made, that I've never actually tried to go up above, there's 2 miles right there. I've never tried to go above 6 miles an hour. So the fact that I did this, I was a little intimidated by it, because I knew I was going to be pushing myself harder than I ever have as far as speed goes. So one thing that I did do is I refrained from putting the treadmill on an incline. Another thing that, you know, prevented me from wanting to do that is the fact that I've never used this machine before until now. So I think it was a good idea for me to not put it on an incline. But I really like the fact that it'll let you run for more than an hour if that's what you want to do. And it doesn't try to control when you start your cool down. But another thing about it is, because you're not paying for that subscription, you can't program the machine to go into cool down mode automatically. You have to manually slow yourself down. And so I just have a feeling that a lot of people would typically skip doing a cool down after running, and that's really a bad choice, a bad decision. Another reason why I wanted to speed the treadmill up is because, not knowing whether or not it was going to go into automatic cooldown mode after 60 minutes, I wanted to make sure that I was able to hit that 10K mark. And that was one thing that I wasn't able to do at the gym using their treadmills, because, like I said, with it going into cooldown mode after an hour, I was never really able to get up above 6 miles without increasing the speed, which I never tried to do. And well, the funny thing is, I actually well, you'll see whenever I get there, but yeah, this was a cool experience for me, actually running in my garage. You know, there's no airflow in there. It's pretty warm. And because I was using my phone to do this time lapse, I actually couldn't hear the music. Like, I turned music on in my living room and I turned my TV speakers all the way up, but because I was in the garage, I couldn't even hear the music over the sound of the treadmill. And so I did this with no airflow and no music, and the music is huge. Going back into that White Pony album, the Deftones. That's a really good album, and you know, according to ChatGPT, it's one of the best albums for running because of the BPM, the beats per minute. It kind of matches an average human stride when it comes to, you know, average running. And so you really kind of lock into the beat whenever you're listening to it. I love stuff like that. And the music kind of carries you through. So this is one of the most listened to albums for me throughout my entire training mission since I started running last summer. I've been listening to this album a lot. Another really good album. And I don't know what type of music you guys like, but I'm like straight up new metal, metalcore. I like prog rock. That's my either third or fourth mile right there. I couldn't tell because the video's so fast. Yeah, but I like all that stuff. ChatGPT says that the Tool Fear Inoculum album is really good to listen to as well. I like At the Drive-In. It's this older band that split up and became two other bands, the Mars Volta and Sparta. But they have this album, it's older, it's called Relationship of Command. And it seems to be another really good running pace BPM album to listen to, and it's wild music. I mean, it's experimental, definitely. It's, if you guys have ever heard of Mars Volta, they're like out there. Even if you like metal, they're like on another level. But yeah, I've always depended on the music to one degree or another, and there's this specific song on the White Pony album. It's called Korea, and in the midpoint of that song, it's like the breakdown bridge. There's another mile gone. If you listen to that album and you start it from the beginning, right when you start running, like after you do your warm up, and you just play it, then that Korea song will start playing right around the same time that you reach your, you know, like 3.5 mile mark, if you're running 6 miles an hour like I am. And so it's really cool because you get that breakdown bridge, and then, like, for me, every time I hear that and I've been running for 3 miles, like, I don't know, there's something like snaps into my nervous system, and I just like go off and I feel primal. It's just this awesome feeling. I started meditating last year, which I know most of you, if you listen to me, then you already know that. But this running, this is like another form of meditation. It really is. It's like it's meditation in movement. And you kind of just, after your nervous system learns to trust the force that you're putting it under, you're basically pushing it, you're pushing your muscles, you're sweating, your heart's racing, you know, it's like sustained elevated heartbeat for a long period of time. It takes time to get your body to adjust to that, but a lot of it has to do with trust and just like you pushing your nervous system through the discomfort of the endurance itself. Okay, I think that's actually mile 6 right there. So yeah, this video is actually about to end. What I wanted to say is that it makes a huge difference. It really does. I got so excited I knocked my phone down. Okay, guys. Let me show you the numbers. Alright, I've been going for an hour and 1 minute.
I had to jump off real quick so I could put it in cool down mode. 6.14 miles, 909 calories. Okay, so I hope that inspires somebody out there. Even if you smoked and did naughty things for the majority of the first half of your life, you can still jump on one of these things, and with some time, patience, dedicated willpower, you can become one of the top 1% of people that can actually run a 10K. Hey guys, I'm tired. You see all that sweat? That's literally sweat. Again, I'm not trying to brag. I'm trying to influence anybody. Guys, I really like this summary screen. It's cool. That's my total on everything. 937 calories, an average of 1032 per mile. I had to cool down for a while. It's always best to do that. This is my overall course. I started after my first lap. I bumped it up to 6.2, and then I went all the way to the 1 hour mark at 6.2. So yeah, if this helps, this is the result on my Fitbit. I was at like 14,000, well, maybe 13,000 steps, 12 to 13,000 steps before I started. I was at like 2,600 and something calories. They're always different with the calories. This says 937. My Fitbit, if I showed it to you in my app, it'd probably say I burned about 1,200 calories just now. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.